Okay.
Republican Governor Tim Pawlenty of Minnesota is our guest right now for his reaction. Good morning to you, Governor.
Good morning, Gretchen.
I thought that one of the things that I remember most from the speech last night was that last phrase that we just played, where President Obama says, "We will call you out." Was that a threat, or do Republicans feel like they can go knock on the door this morning and give the president their own ideas?
Well, I think he did two things. He invited a bipartisan dialogue, and I think we should pursue that. The system is broken. We cannot afford or continue the system that we're on, but his ideas to fix it are bad and different from what we're offering. We hope we could come together with a bipartisan solution, but when he says things like, if you dare question or challenge his ideas, the President of the United States is going to call you out, that's not exactly an open hand.
Yeah, of course, in watching the reaction and during our coverage right here on Fox last night, Governor, he clearly ignited and energized the left side of the aisle. But you've got to wonder whether or not, and okay, they're very exuberant, we're going to get something done this time. You've got to wonder whether or not they've got a long memory, because August was a very bad month for the Democrats as they held the town meetings across the country where their constituents were saying, why do we have to do this all right now? What's the hurry? Let's not bankrupt the system.
Well, I would encourage President Obama to change his slogan from change we can believe in to change we can afford. Well, what he's doing is leading this country on a pathway towards bigger deficits, bigger debt, and a pathway to potential bankruptcy. And we can't afford what he's proposing. It's not going to work financially, and there are many other problems with it as well. But the country is pushing back for a reason, not because of made-up stuff or hysteria, but because it's bad ideas, it's inconsistent with private enterprise, inconsistent with financial discipline, and it's okay for Republicans and others to say, Mr. President, you're wrong.
Well, you come from the state of Minnesota, as do I, and you have a plan there that appears to be working. What would you share with President Obama about what's working in Minnesota with regard to health care?
Well, Gretchen, we have our share of challenges here, and our system isn't perfect, but there are some elements of it that I think could be integrated into a reform. For example, we're starting the process of paying not for volumes of procedures, but paying for better health care outcomes. Right now, if you're a provider of health care, you get paid for how many procedures you perform. That's the wrong measurement. The measurement should be for your money. You're making people better. And starting to transition the payment system in that direction is really important. Another thing we do here is if you want to sue a doctor for malpractice, you got to have another doctor file an affidavit up front that says, yes, malpractice may have actually occurred.
Interesting.
Harvard came out with a study that said 30% of the medical care in this country is medically unnecessary, and that's one of the reasons, fear of lawsuits.
Yeah, and speaking of fear of lawsuits, Governor, right there at the very end of his address last night, he kind of tacked on, oh, and by the way, you know, I'm hearing that a lot of people feel that the medical malpractice is a big problem, and I'm going to start thinking about tort reform. What was that?
Well, at least he opened the door to the topic. But again, when it's something Republicans want or the rest of the country wants, it's a pilot project in a few states. When it's something he wants, it's a sweeping, transformative, revolutionary change for a seventh of our economy. So that's not exactly a fair swap. He should put it fully on the table and discuss it. And the reason he doesn't is because the Democrats get a ton of money from the trial lawyers, and they're protecting a little group of folks in the country at the expense of the rest of us.
Yeah, but I thought that the mere mention of that, he sort of put himself out there to have to include it now.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good start, and so we welcome that. But that's other than that, that was the one breakthrough or one little bit of movement reflected in the speech. And if we're going to restart the debate on a bipartisan basis, he needs to go further than that.
All right, Governor Pawlenty, we thank you very much for joining us today from the Twin Cities.
Great to be with you.
Great to have you.